name's Alicia Hansen. I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit here in Chelsea called NYC Salt. I've been a professional photographer in, well, around the country, but in New York City for 13 years. Total career in photography has been 20 years. And I've worked in media and advertising and corporate work. And I founded SALT 9 years ago and have been growing it ever since. We're still very much a small startup, and being a small startup, we haven't been as successful at getting a lot of foundation money because we're not quite big enough. We're starting to get big enough, but we're not quite big enough to qualify for some of the larger grants that other nonprofits get. And so I worked very hard at diversifying our revenue stream in our nonprofit because I didn't ever want my business to be in the situation of one revenue stream stopping, and then we wouldn't have the capacity to serve the kids that we work with. We work with inner city kids. All of our kids qualify for free lunch, and we work with the public high schools in New York City. And we've used Rockethub for the past 2 years. Our first project was just one of our volunteers kind of brought up, why don't you do something on Kickstarter? And we looked at Kickstarter, and they don't work with nonprofits. So we, someone else mentioned Rockethub, so we tried it and had really no idea what we were doing, but just filled in all the blanks and created our own video. Part of, I guess, being a photographer is that we also know video and audio, so we did everything ourselves, whereas I think probably other companies would have to hire that out. So it was at really no cost to us but our time to put the project together, and then we sent it out to our donor base. And I had no idea how successful it would be. We set our goal kind of low. We set it at $8,000, I think it was $8,000 for that first one. And we sent out one email blast and brought in 16. And that was just through our donor base. We have a donor, a mailing list of about 4,000 people. And then the second year, we did so well with that, we thought, okay, we'll incorporate this into our fundraising strategy, because we get grants. We also have individual donors. We do one very large event, it's kind of like our gala, and we also sell prints. We sell the students photography. And we kind of are distributed pretty evenly, but the Rockethub campaign was great for us because about 90% of our donor base is in New York City. And that's great for our events and a lot of our individual donor communication and relations. But as I have a board of about 12 people, and we all have people that we know all over the country. So the crowdfunding was a way where we could get our message out to a much broader audience. It was also a way for us to capture the people that just for whatever reason couldn't make it out to our events. So every year, and we're going to do it again this year, we'll hold, the last 2 years, we've launched a Rockethub campaign right after our gala event as a way of kind of capturing a lot of the people that have donated in the past that might not have made it to our show. And we've done really well. This year, or last year, we did it a little bit more strategically. We set our goal at, I think, I don't know what we set it at. The next campaign, I think we raised 22. We actually raised like over 30 because I had, I'm controlling that, aren't I? Okay, so the second campaign we thought a lot more about the tagline and creating a story and creating kind of just email blasts and kind of strategically over the course of the campaign sending them out. we even created one of the hardest parts about the campaign is all the work that you have to do afterwards to supply everybody with the things that you promised them. So we tend to have between 2 solid weeks to a month of work in our studio of just getting products out to people. And this year, or last year, still think about it as this year because we do the academic school year, it's our year. I had all of my board members pledge a certain amount up front, but I didn't have them actually donate to the campaign until the last couple days. So I knew that from my board members, I was going to get about $12,000. I had every single one of them donate something because they were sending them out to their mailing list. And I didn't want somebody on their mailing list to look and see that they hadn't donated when they were getting a request to say, please donate to this campaign. So everybody donated a little bit up front, and then we waited to see how we were going to reach our goal to decide to kind of top it off. And then once we met the goal, board members just wrote checks to the organization for the rest of the pledge. To kind of avoid the fees with Rockethub. So
that's a great strategy.
Well,
the
fees are significant.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what we did with our campaign, and I know that's probably a little bit different than some of you might approach it with a for-profit business. But we've had a lot of success, and we'll probably continue to use this as a fundraising a tool to raise money for our program every single year. This year, our campaign will launch in July, and it'll go through the middle of August as kind of a back-to-school, help us buy, the cameras and equipment and things that we need for our workshops in the public schools this year or next year. So.
How much are you seeking to raise this year? You did 10, you did 20, and then this year like 30? Or?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to know. I'll have to probably take another inventory on my board to see who's going to give what, and then we look through our donors to see who we think will probably donate a certain amount. And then the rest is kind of up to chance. I'd say, actually, one of my volunteers did a whole analysis of our Rockethub campaign last year, and I can't, how many donors do we have? 79 funders. But we found that the 80-20 principle held pretty true to, 20% of the people that donated, 20%.
80% of your funding.
Yes, 80% of the funding, right. And the things that got the most funding were experience-based things. So what we have to offer are classes, and what's unique about my program is that all of our teachers are professional photographers or photo editors. So we have an editor from People Magazine, we have an editor from Getty Images, and we have photographers that do really amazing work all over the world. So we offer private classes for whoever buys that reward, and like 8 of their friends for a day-long photography expedition for them to learn how to use digital cameras and walk through the city and have a cookout at our photography studio in Chelsea. And that's been very popular with just, I guess, the donors in New York. And then we have an extra option for people that are outside the city. We do a print option so they can choose several prints.
I have a question. Did you ever think of maybe launching your campaign during your gala? Like maybe just have a call to action at the end of the night to say, by the way, live crowdfunding.
That's a great idea. No, I haven't.
We're actually going to do that in DC. We're going to test that out, and I'll let you know. But like, I have a feeling if you have 300 people there, just set up like a row of 20 computers and just say call to action, bam, just get everybody just donating right there and there.
Yeah, that's that's a great idea. Thank you.
I actually have a quick question. If, what you said at the end, did I hear you right, at the end you had the donors kind of write checks directly?
Yeah.
So, my big question is, there's all these platforms and Kickstarter takes 10% and so forth.
5%.
Why can't you just host it yourself? What is, what does Rockethub add to it versus just having like a page on your own site?
It's a good question. We gotta have our CEO Rocket up here to speak about that.
That's a great question. Well, actually, the strategy there to use a campaign as one funding arm for, to galvanize bigger donors, to write checks directly, to get investments for your venture, all that plays well within what we recommend folks to do. I think our job as a platform is to really add value to our users, right? So infrastructure, credibility, making things simple and easy, good customer service, but also to recognize that beyond just the funding component, have access to other scarce resources through our partnerships. I'm actually really excited to see your next project, because I'd love to bring it to our partners over at A&E and let them know that you and I have been working together for years, and we just did this event this year. For example, now through Rockethub, projects can land on television through our partnership with A&E, which give folks a bigger touch point beyond their own communities or beyond even our own platform. So I'll talk more about that in my spiel, but it's a great question. What value are the platforms bringing? And that's a question that we ask ourselves every day in our office. Yeah, it's good.
I think just for us as a small organization, we don't have lots of staff capacity. So and we also don't have like lots and lots of extra money. So to just have a platform that's already there, that we can use, then everything's already set up and we just have to plug things in. And we've done it several years in a row, so we actually have a system written out that I can hand to a volunteer.
And they probably have their credit card already there, right?
Depending, typically we don't store credit card information for that.
Okay.
So they'll have to redo it.
Yeah, but it's easier. It makes it easy.
All right, one more question.
I'll go into that.
It's up to I mean, I'll answer it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, do you find that as a nonprofit, are you increasing your donor pool through using these platforms and by using crowdfunding? I know you said you had an existing list that you initially sent out to, but do you find that you're getting donors beyond that initial list now that you've utilized this a couple of times?
We find that we're capitalizing on missed donors. So like there's one particular donor who gives a lot every year, but if she can't make it to our gala event, then there's not another event during the year for her to come to. And so it's just a matter of an ask. And this ask last year was particularly appealing to her because she loves photography and she wanted to bring all of her friends in. So it was great, like it's just another way to ask. I mean, with nonprofits, you're asking for money all the time. And I think for us, we've had to figure out different ways of asking. And I don't know why that is. I wish it were easier, that you could just send out one email to everybody at the beginning of the year and they just send in their check that they're gonna write you, and it'd just be that easy, but it's not. It just, like, it's been pretty random as we've taught people. And we've found this is like a way that I've captured donors from other parts of the country, just like my friends and family in Atlanta and Texas and California, that I wouldn't have captured here in New York, because just, we send out newsletters every quarter, but we don't get a lot of response from our newsletters. And I don't know if people are just more engaged because, with this, there's a video. And they see who we are, and they listen to the kids talk, and they listen to how impactful photography is on the choices that they're starting to make about their lives. And so, I mean, I guess there's other ways that we could do it, but I really love having a crowdfunding campaign as part of my fundraising toolkit, and it's brought in people that I wouldn't have already had.
get him applause for.